Well, hello everyone, Texy88 here and welcome to my latest live stream. And now we're taking a look at Neighbours for the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. It's based on the Australian soap opera of the same name that ran from 1985 and finishes in late July 2022 after a 37-year run. And at the moment we've got a pretty good 48k beeper rendition of Tony Hatch's and Jackie Trent's theme tune, or at least how it sounded at the time of the game originally coming out. Now, this game came out courtesy of Impulse / Zeppelin in 1991, so quite late in the life of the ZX Spectrum, which was, because by that point 16-bit computers and consoles were already established, so the old 8-bit parade were on their way out by this point and didn't have much of their golden age left in them. So it's got new keys as option 2, so let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Please tell me those aren't really the actual default keys, because those are horrible. I'm going to do my usual I, P, Q, Z, space. 0 to start. Skateboard type 1 normal, 2 fast. Obstacles. Now, my understanding is the higher the number, the more obstacles you'll have to contend with, so I'll go for a middle ground and press 2. Contestants 1 to 4 speaks for itself. You play as Scott Robinson, who was a character who was most famously played by Jason Donovan, although there was one person who played him very briefly prior to Donovan being cast in the role, although the original actor who played Scott passed away a few years ago at the age of 54 after losing a cancer battle. And you're up against up to 4 opponents. Charlene Ramsey, who was played by Kylie Minogue, Henry Ramsey, who was played by Craig McLachlan, Mike Young, who was played by Guy Pearce, who really made it big in Hollywood after leaving Ramsey Street behind, and Matt Robinson, who was played by an actor called Ashley Paskey. And quite frankly, I'm surprised they even bothered to include him unless they were desperate for someone to fill his shoes, because he wasn't exactly a particularly memorable character compared to some of the others. But never mind. 3 opponents, I think. Please wait. So there's Scott coming down on his skateboard. Push any key to start. So I've got to try. So the idea is that the character Harold Bishop has set up this course, and you have to go through which I'm not doing a very good job of here. You have to go through these gates that Harold's put up, and not crash into anything or anyone. Otherwise, your popularity, which is the background of that Neighbours logo at the bottom of the screen, will deplete. And you can build it up, but by doing well in the race, or by picking up rubbish like I just did there. Oh, sugar. And I just saw crashing into other people who are just aimlessly wandering back and forth costs you your popularity. And of course, if that popularity dwindles down to nothing, you're basically screwed. Quite why a character like Harold Bishop would be putting up a course like this is anyone's guess. I mean, he wasn't a total. The character wasn't exactly a total fuddy-duddy and who goody two-shoes. Yeah, he was a bit of a Bible basher and was very religious, but somehow this just seems like a very odd thing for a character like Harold Bishop to be doing. So, ironically, Ian Smith, who played Harold Bishop, was actually couldn't have been less religious if he tried. So the pictures that appear on the Grundy television, oh dear, my popularity depleted. Oh, for God's sake, can't I just type this? I mean, it's not like this is a conversion of an arcade game, so this whole cyclic nonsense, it's just tedious. Never mind. Let's give that another whirl and see what fast is like. I know I'm going to regret this. I'll stick to 2 obstacles this time. I'm going to reduce the number of contestants. Yeah, and as I was saying, those pictures on the left where it's got the Grundy television logo, Grundy, who were at the time the producers of the soap opera, before Fremantle Media bought them in, I think it was 2001, and now they're just called Fremantle. What? Oh, don't get. Are you serious? Well, I better do that again. No, I don't like it on fast. That's a bit too slippery for my liking. I'll just keep the other settings the same. Yeah, I just got 2 opponents this time. Oh. So I picked up some rubbish there, so... God damn it! Ugh! Oh, took a knock there. Oh gosh! Thank God I picked up that rubbish. Otherwise, I would have. Oh God! Not sure about the hit detection in this at the best of times. Another thing I don't understand is why it's got smooth vertical scrolling, but it's this push scrolling sideways. I really find that a bit of a pig, if the truth be told, because there's just no need for it. Why can't it just... Now it's suddenly scrolling. What's that all about? Oh yeah, as I was saying, the Grundy television pictures there just show the faces of people who have passed the line, even though they, quite frankly, look nothing like the characters they're supposed to, or the actors who originally played them. Oh my blooming God. For goodness sake. Yeah, so you're just doing this race to... What? I clearly went through that. Again, oh, maybe I didn't quite go through that. Yeah, then I think I'm being punished for not properly going through that. Oh, for God's sake! Why couldn't this have controlled like 720 degrees? Instead, you're just holding down the direction and pressing, holding down accelerate to go anywhere. And given the 3 isometric style view, pressing, say, up by itself doesn't go like the up and right like you might expect. It's actually straight up. Same goes for down being straight down, like that. I much prefer it where up is like this direction. Somehow I just prefer that, but you don't get that option here. Oh, bugger off! Why are these guys wandering around all back and forth? Haven't they got anything better to do with their lives? Obviously not. Obviously, it's all in monochrome. Can you imagine the colour clash there would have been, especially with the people wandering back and forth and wanting to collide with Scott at every available opportunity? What? I didn't even touch that. Oh, God. More of this tedious gibberish. From what I understand, there are 4 different settings for background settings for this game. I'm presuming you have to do well enough in the previous one. This one's obviously Ramsey Street, which is the cul-de-sac where the show was originally set, and the others are Lassiter's Complex, which was a local business complex whose buildings basically changed over the years. And enough of the push scrolling. Now it's doing the push scrolling downwards. Oh, move it! I can't move. I'm stuck on the pole. Oh God, that's so frustrating. Oh, I've got to be very careful not to hit anything, otherwise it's game over. I did not touch that. Collision detection is very questionable in this. I mean, one more go because we were so quick. But yeah, it's not a game that's going to hold anyone's interest for long. There's just not enough to do, especially for a game from 1991. This is another problem is that even at the time of this game coming out, a lot of the characters that prominently feature in the game were no longer in the soap by that point. And when the game was re-released on budget, none of them were. But what is interesting is many of the characters that feature actually coming back in the show's final episodes. I mean, the Harold Bishop character that I've just mentioned, Ian Smith agreed to play him one last time, and his episodes have already started to appear. And both Jason Donovan and Kylie Minogue are coming back as Scott and Charlene one last time. Just see off the soap that actually helped to give their careers a boost. So that's very good of them to be able to find the time to do that. So. Yeah, I'm quite way ahead of the others now, so I can be a bit more. I don't have to be dashing about to accelerate quite so much as I was. But yeah, it's only going to be a matter of minutes before this game starts to bore people. I mean, there's only so many times you can skate around like this, and it plays okay, although the controlling Scott is a little bit too slippery for my liking, especially as he's on a skateboard, not skates. Why can't I have smooth scrolling right way through? What's with all this sudden switching between push scrolling and regular scrolling? Well, that person who was walking up and down there isn't there anymore. Level complete. I finally go on to the next bit. So is this Lester's complex, or am I having to do the Ramsey Street in the opposite direction? I mean, really, why? Why can't it just go straight on to the next bit instead of having to do the same course in reverse? This just prolongs the tedium. And obviously, being a 48K game, there's also sound, apart from the theme tune on the opening title screen, is a bit on the sparse side. I mean, occasionally you get sound when collisions happen, but apart from that, that's about it. Oh, I thought I wasn't going to get that. Oh, I mean, I would like to get to the next bit, which I'm presuming is Lester's complex, if the instructions are anything to go by. Just see a change of scenery, but so the others have passed by. I just see, or on the top left television screen on the left there, the last of the 4 opponents has just passed the lap line. Oh, God, I didn't collide him. I mean, once you get used to the controls, oh dear, no. Not exactly the most challenging game in the world. I mean, well, once you got used to this somewhat slippery skateboarding controls, but anyway. I mean, seriously, that character's face when I pass that line, that really doesn't look anything like Jason Donovan. And he looked more like he was trying to be Tom Cruise in Top Gun or something. I mean, I'm allowing a little bit for the fact that the Spectrum obviously has graphical limitations, so it was never going to look exactly like that unless they used digitized images, and even at that small scale, they would have been very visually ropey. So it's also possible that they couldn't get permission to use the likenesses of the actors in question. Yay! Please tell me I can go on to Lassiter's. Oh, for God's sake. Am I really not on Lassiter's? Oh, yay, change. Oh, flipping hell, I've got to go back through that. Hey? What? Oh, I've got kangaroos now. Wait a minute. I thought I was... Where exactly am I? This doesn't look like it's Leicester's complex to me, because that's where things like the hotel and the pool and stuff are. And oh great, no, I don't know where. Oh yeah, it must be this way. Ah, here we go. Boo. Yeah, I guess crashing into kangaroos that have escaped from zoos isn't exactly cool. But yeah, this is already starting to become very boring, even with the change of scenery, which is nonetheless very welcome. And picking up rubbish, doesn't seem to you'd think that just picking up rubbish wouldn't particularly increase your popularity as much as it does, but it does mean that the game's not really particularly challenging, which is oh God, go through the gate, thank you. But I'll tell you what, even though this isn't exactly an interesting game, if there was going to be a game based on a soap opera and you held a gun to my head saying you have to play either this or EastEnders, this would win every time. At least this is sort of fun, whereas EastEnders is a pile of utter shocking pap. Oh, that was cool. What? No, I think I like the way the markers change when you've gone between them. So did Harold Bishop put these out as well? God, he must have been busy away from his usual church duties for that kind of thing. Well, not just his church duties. He also obviously would have had a job, and he did. Yeah. Oh God! So you got that same course, but in the opposite order. I can't. I don't think I can be bothered to play anymore. The review's getting a bit long as it is. So yeah. So that's Neighbours for the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. As I said, it's based on the Australian soap of the same name. Just a rather a bit of a drab game, really. I mean, it is not terrible. But the thing is, when it first came out, it was priced at £10.99 for the cassette version. And I think it was £14.99 for the disc version. So, considering how much it cost, there's not really enough to justify the purchase, whether you were a fan of the original soap at the time or not. Especially as I said earlier, a lot of the characters that feature in the game were no longer in the soap by that point, and when the game was re-released on budget in 1992, none of them were. Well, none of the graphics, not really anything to write home about. I mean, they're clear, and at least the different characters look different from one another, but other than that, not really much to say about them. Monochrome, obviously, but sound is virtually non-existent. The only real sound of note is the representation of the Neighbours theme tune on the menu screen. Gameplay, or as I said, controlling Scott is a bit too slippery for my liking. I would have preferred if it had controls, if the directional controls worked a bit like in something like 720 degrees, which I've already reviewed previously. And it just beggars belief that it just alternates between push scrolling and regular scrolling like that. Why can't you? I mean, why couldn't it just stuck to smooth scrolling and made it a bit easier? Well, we know that the Spectrum can handle decent multi-directional scrolling because we've seen it in so many times previously. But yeah. Sorry, £15.99 for the disc price. And the game also came out for the Commodore Amiga, Atari ST, and the Commodore 64. So there was no Amstrad CPC version, according to what I've just looked up. But yeah, as I said, this game does get a bit dull very quickly. You're just skating around, and I can't help feeling that doing the same course in reverse before you get to the next one just prolongs the tedium a bit too much. And yeah, especially at the price that Impulse were asking, there's just not really enough to justify a purchase, and this the gameplay is just not involving enough, especially for a game from 1991. So I'm going to give Neighbours on the ZX Spectrum 5 out of 10. Still tons better than EastEnders, but the main problem, apart from how repetitive and dull it gets, is the fact that they charged 11 quid for it instead of this would have been. I know it probably wasn't possible due to rights issues, but ideally it would have been better placed on Zeppelin's budget label. It might have fared a bit better. But yeah, you're not going to get much enjoyment out of this game, regardless of what your feelings towards the soap opera upon which it's based. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that review. Catch you on another video soon. Texie88 out.